Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Rise Urban Nation. I got a special guest this morning who giving me heart attacks. Let me tell you, child. She may have had problems with her hair, but she got me having problems with my hair. I'm about to pull my hair out, so I'm gonna need this product after we finish. The one, the only Shalita Grant. Y'all may have seen her from NCIS. And she is in here to talk about her new venture. How are you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm great now. Much better now.
Oh man, we might have to tell that full story another day. But it was an adventure just getting on to this podcast this
Yeah.
morning.
Not a lot of people know I'm not very technologically inclined. So, yeah.
Look, next time I do anything with you, I'm gonna get a virtual assistant to come and set you up first. That's what we gonna do.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very
Like,
much.
help me help you. Now, before we get started, I like to ask this question to a lot of my guests when they come on. Before we dive into the venture, what they've been through and what they created. And this is you can go far as wide as you want with this question. But who is Shalita Grant?
Oh, boy. Oh, that's good. Shalita Grant is a healer. She's
Mm,
funny as fuck.
mm,
She loves nature and
okay.
animals. But and she loves people enough to know that she doesn't like them all. Um, I think that's enough.
Wait. I don't think is this the character Percy is not derived off of this, is it?
Oh no. I don't think that there are I don't think any character I've ever played has been me full stop. Like I always
Gotcha.
find things in common with the people
Uh-huh.
that I play, but no, not at all. Not at all like any of that.
Right. But today she joins us as the founder and CEO of. Go ahead.
For naturals.
All right.
For
So
naturals.
you know, we everybody's gonna be asking me how this girl go from acting to creating a hair care company, and you gonna have to take us through that journey real quick.
Yeah. So real quick, how I got into becoming a hair care founder after being an actress, it was actually my acting career. So
Mhm.
I have very typical, I mean, it doesn't look like it now because I'm post
I
treatment,
know because
but
it's all sheening. When for y'all that get the video experience, she over here, she's shining, 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 shining.
but pre-treatment and pre-4 naturals, I have very typical African American hair in that it wasn't like damaged. It's just super dry. I don't see
Mhm.
a curl pattern. I have pre-treatment, I have high porosity hair. So straightening my hair means like immediate damage.
Mhm.
So pre-treatment, and in my career, with this typical African American hair, my career is atypical in that my hair is like part of the
Mhm.
job. So I did a show that we just referenced,
Yeah.
NCIS. And for the fans of that show, for the fans of Percy, they knew Percy's ponytail was different every episode, sometimes within the episode, sometimes hell in the middle of the scene, shit would just
Mhm.
change up.
Mhm.
But what people didn't know was that I was chasing damage.
Mhm.
The show, we started with a ponytail, and the devil's ponytail is what I often refer to it as, because in order to get that ponytail, I had to go through extensions. I had wigs at different points. And the reason I kept changing the mode of the ponytail, like the foundation of that ponytail was I had a mandate from the producers of that particular show that they didn't want a super tight curl pattern. So it was like
Mhm.
finding hair that was the a flattering pattern, and then applying like putting that hair in my head like
Mhm.
caused damage. So
Yeah.
extension season 2, I did the episode in the water. I came out of those extensions after 2 weeks of shooting and rehearsing in chlorinated water, in swamp water. I took those extensions down and I had a bald spot in the center of my head. Season 3,
Mm.
I started documenting the hair loss in at my hairline. And so season 4, everybody remembers the helmet head wig, but what
Yeah, they can't. The Black Twitter was not kind.
no, they were not. No, they were not. But what they didn't know was that I was literally fighting hair loss. Like the front of my hair, the middle of my hair, like I was threatening
Hmm.
baldness.
Man.
So I had given up and I was like, they can't touch my hair anymore. So I'm going to put on this full lace wig with the shoe polish, baby hairs, and quit the show and go heal. And so when I left that show, because it was a lot going on with the actual like the people, and then like getting off the show, like there was always that fear as an actress, and especially as a
Yeah.
Black actress, when you quit something, when you leave something, and you left because it was a lot of friction for you. The threat is that you could never work again. And
Yeah.
so for me, the reason why I identify as a healer first is because I was like, fuck that. I'm definitely going to work again. I'm a Tony nominated actress. I'm a Juilliard grad. Of course,
Hmm.
I'm going to work again. This was
Yes.
through no fault of my own. This was me trying to be a team player, and I got burned bad.
Yeah.
So I'm going to heal those burns. So I went into trauma therapy, which is different from, talk therapy. It's
Hmm.
somatic, which means it's about the body. And so for me, that healing was really important. That modality of therapy was super important because it was my hair. I had instances of people being in my hair causing pain, causing, shame, blame, all of that. Like, why aren't we shooting yet? Shalita's hair. Why can't we shoot Shalita's hair? Like why aren't we moved on to the next scene yet? Oh, Shalita's hair, right? So
Hmm.
that was for me looking at and thinking about my own body and about like, me
Hmm.
physically. I had to heal that. And then after 3 months of trauma therapy, I mean, I did 2 shows, 2 recurring arcs on 2 shows. And then 2019, I left in 2018 in the spring, and I
Hmm.
worked those 2 jobs, August to like December. And
Hmm.
then 2018, I was just like, I want to heal my hair. Like, I just got off of a show with all these extensions, and I just did 2 shows where I was in
Hmm.
a wig. So at this point, I am limited by my hair. So I need to
Hmm.
figure this out. So what people don't know is that I come from a hair background. So my grandma's owned a hair salon since before I was born. It's still up, Hair Dreams 2 in Petersburg, Virginia on Washington
Shout out
Street.
to Hair Dreams too.
Shout out to Hair Dreams 2, book your appointments. And then my mom has been a hairstylist. My aunt is still a hairstylist. My other aunt has been a hairstylist. So hair is my mom's side of the family's business. And
Hmm.
before I wanted to be an actress, I wanted to be the shampoo girl. And
Yeah.
so I literally came from the shop. And so I knew what we knew about the care of our hair. And I had just been to the top of the mountain, multi-million dollar production. I'm in Hollywood where all these stylists are working with all of these stars, all these celebrities. But I had to walk down that mountain with jacked up hair and bald spots. And I was like, no one's coming to save me. No
Yeah.
one's coming to solve this problem. So I have to solve it myself. So during 2019, I focused on research. I was like, if I am a human being, then without a raced lens on my hair, there has to be something in nature that God has created that can fix these complex and chronic hair problems. What are those problems? Chronic dryness, the fragility of our hair, the breakage.
Hmm.
How we say our hair is versatile, but the truth of that is that our actual hair is not that versatile. We add
Mm.
hair and that gives us versatility. But the
Mm.
reality of our hair is that it's hard to manage. It's confusing. It's
Mhm.
inconsistent, the way that products perform, or even the way that the hair itself performs, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, I want to heal that. I believe there must be some plant out there. So, long story short, I lit on India,
Mhm.
Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Greece for my hair cultures, like non white but
Mhm.
successful hair cultures. What are the ingredients they use? What are their practices? And then doing a ton of research on detangling, because
Yeah.
that's one of the areas that even hair salons get a consistent F grade for any person with textured hair, not even
Right.
just Afro textured, type 4, type 3, and sometimes even type 2. They just don't
Mhm.
know how to detangle the hair. So I wanted to standardize that. And I did. And so in 2019, I created the Four Naturals treatment. And my
Mm.
career post treatment, I've no one's seen this pilot yet, but HBO Max pilot, I wore my
Mhm.
natural curls. I wore my natural hair, my I say natural, but I had like did 2 Brazilian blowouts on it in 2020 for the Four
Yeah.
Naturals audience to show them how strong your hair can be after a weakening chemical treatment. So I did 2 of those, and I started You. We shot for 6 months. I started that show with 13 inches of hair. I left
Yeah.
with 16, and we were flat
Nice.
ironing it. Okay.
Nice.
So my experience post treatment with my characters, even, it's like there's no limit now. Like pre treatment, I would never have been able to shoot You. Sherry, like the
Mm.
bitch that I was, like you can easily cut her down by being like, wig, okay, extend, but to have that kind of bitchiness as a
Yeah.
woman, it's our beauty, right?
Yeah.
And the effortless beauty, right? That gives you that, like, I won,
Yeah.
because in that social strata, in that world, for the women, the beauty is
Uh-huh.
the currency, right? The beauty
Mhm.
is part of your currency as a person in that community. And so I
Yeah.
would not have been able to do that role if I did not have my natural hair to play with as that
Mhm.
character. And the
Yeah.
same with the pilot. I did Abbott Elementary. They used my real hair and just slapped on like a bun, but my
Uh-huh.
edges were so full, like so, like, again, it's just like a completely
Uh-huh.
different life with my hair. And since I started Four Naturals in 2019, I am literally changing and improving Black women's lives all over the country.
I love that. And although she's improving black women's lives, when she came to me and told me about this concept, she about to improve a girl dad's life too. I was like, yo, cause I'm growing out my hair. I need some of this. And then me and my daughter could do this thing together. So,
Yes.
uh, but I want to unpack some things that I'm gonna go
Yes.
back real quick. So, um, I know black hair, especially for black women, has been such a challenging thing throughout U.S. history, not just for you and your community, but just in general. But I want to unpack, why is textured hair such a big deal in Hollywood?
Yeah. So it's a big deal in Hollywood because it's a big deal in the real world too.
Yeah.
Right. So the cosmetology board is a certifying body for hair professionals, hair stylists, right? Well, that certifying body teaches hair is hair. So
Mm-hmm.
they don't talk about any other hair but straight hair. But even within straight hair, that
Yeah.
saying hair is not true. Asian fades are
Mm-hmm.
different from African American fades, are different from European fades because of how the hair even grows out of the scalp,
Yeah.
right? So when you tell people that hair is hair and then you send them out into the world to like work on the masses who believe that your license means that you know everything about hair, but it doesn't, right? That's not what
Mm-hmm.
that license actually means.
Yeah.
When they sit in your chair and you're ripping their hair out and you're like overwhelmed, there have been Black women who have gone to the hair salon and had stylists cry, and it's like, you're causing the pain, but you're crying. Like, what the hell hell is this? So we've all had very traumatizing experiences in the professional salon space by
Mm.
people who look like us and by people who don't look like us. And
Nah.
so when you go into Hollywood, that is a microcosm of the macro situation that's happening out in the world. So
Nah.
if the macro situation has no textured hair education and you have a bunch of like entrepreneurs like myself who are trying to
Mhm.
fill in that education gap, and you got all of these offshoots of information, and those entrepreneurs businesses aren't even dealing with our type 4 hair, right? With it
Mm.
as it is in the state that it is, with the problems that we specifically have, right? So when you go to Hollywood, everybody's doing wigs. Everyone's
Mm.
doing extensions. And if you got quote unquote good hair, then you have a better experience in Hollywood, right? Hired
Nah.
more, your times are better, and your experience in the hair chair is better. So when
Yeah.
you look at specifically Hollywood and the hiring practices, there is the
Mhm.
department head, there's the key, there's the third, and depending on the production, you might have a fourth and a fifth. The department head is hiring people who they want to work with,
Yeah.
not necessarily people who are skilled for the actors who have been hired. So in
Mm.
my case, I had, oh hello monsters. I had dogs. I had a black man doing my hair, but he
Uh-huh.
was a barber. That was his specialty,
Yeah.
barbering. He had did a couple movies where he applied people's wigs, but most of those people were men. And he wasn't even
Um.
using the latest stuff to like keep that wig glued to your head. He was using spirit gum from the theater. So like a
Wow.
completely, but he was black, right? So they
Yeah.
protected themselves with that, right?
Yeah.
Same man, different department heads throughout my tenure on that show.
Uh-huh.
So that's the issue. Like that's at the very bottom, at the very basis.
Yeah.
That is the issue that's going on in Hollywood. A lack of
Mhm.
education. You have people who are hired who don't even have the specialty to do the actors who were hired. And so what they do is what they did with me. They send
Mhm.
you off set and have somebody else do your hair. And that somebody else is usually a black woman who specializes in whatever hair they're having them do.
Yeah.
They don't hire her to work on the set for the upkeep. So what
Mhm.
was going on with me, I had an episode in season 3 where people saw my wig
Yeah.
and they put it on Instagram in my comments like, we see your wig. Like this is like this is just like degrading. Like this is terrible. And
Yeah.
so like, but that was because the person who was working on my hair didn't have that like knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Of like how to make sure that my wig is hidden. Like he just didn't have it. So Hollywood has the same issues that we have out in the real world, which is
Yeah.
why I had the egregious experience that I had. But I'm not the only black woman that has had an egregious hair Hollywood experience.
Yeah, it's just so funny to see how art imitates life in these circumstances. But I'm glad your product is going to change all of that.
All of
Now,
it.
I want to talk about a little bit about you know a black female owned business because that's a big deal to me too. And can you share your journey of starting a black female owned business
Yeah, I
and the
would love
challenges you
to.
faced?
I would love to. So I think that, okay, so every entrepreneur is different because
Yeah,
of their background. So I told you that my mom was a hairstylist at a point.
yeah,
My mom and my dad were 18. My mom was 18. My dad was 17 when he had me.
mhm,
So I had a tumultuous childhood. All right. Like
yeah,
my mom went to jail when I was 5. That's how I got down to Virginia with my grandmother. She shows up 18 months later with a prison card. Like
mm,
it was chaos. I
yeah,
lived in chaos. And part of that chaos with my mother was that my mom is like a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And so she like, but the end of that is like, oh, it's better to be a jack of all trades than a master of one or
Your
something
mom
like
was a
that.
little hustler. That's what she was.
She was a hustler. But when you're a child watching that hustle and watching how that hustle does not actually equate to any kind of economic stability. I went to
Mm,
6 different elementary schools. 4 of those schools was because she got locked up or we were getting evicted. So we had to
mm,
move to a different part of town so that I could go to a different school. So
mm,
for my mom, she was a rapper, a mime, a talk show host, a model manager, a singing manager, a novelist, poet, perfumier. Like every couple of
mm,
months, she had some new get rich quick scheme. So the
mm,
message that I took, having all of this instability in my life and watching her run from one thing to the other and abandoning things because they're not working out like as fast as she wanted it to and switching to something else, what I told myself was,
mm,
oh, when I get older, you got to do one thing. You can't be doing all of this stuff. You got to do one thing. If you
mm,
want stability, if you want like if you don't want the life that you're living now, you can't do what your mom is doing. You have to do
mm,
one thing. And so when I got to high school, my first high school in Virginia, it was a charter school, a governor's school. And, I didn't have a great time. Like by the time I got in the middle of ninth grade, I was so bitter because I worked my ass off to get to this point. And I was just like, this school sucks. So I started skipping school, hanging out with drug dealers, whatever. And then I got shipped off to Baltimore to live with my dad's family. My dad quit school in the
yeah.
12th grade. He
What?
no, he didn't quit school in the 12th grade. He quit school in the 6th grade when he was 12. So for
Mm,
my dad, he didn't really value school like that. And so when I got to Baltimore, I was essentially his like maid and cook for the other kids. I got switched in the middle of 10th grade and he lied to
mm,
my mom and said he got me into this art school in Baltimore and hadn't even talked to them. So I look up a month after being there and I'm walking the babies to school and picking them up and I'm watching Murray, during the day, like living like a housewife and I was 15. So I like had to petition him to take me to that school so that I can audition for them. So we show up in the middle of my 10th grade year in the middle
uh,
of the day. And my dad is like a hood guy. So they were like, when we showed up in the office, like, what do you mean you want to talk to the acting like, who are y'all? So he came downstairs, Donald Hicken, and he was listening to my dad and looking at me and listening. And I was like, look, I'll audition for you right now. Like, I'll drop some monologues on you right now. And he was like,
uh,
nah, come back. And so I got into that school. And so
nice.
because I fought to get into that school, I was like, I think that I have to do acting for my life. And
Yeah.
then some things happened in 12th grade. I won things. I met Juilliard. I auditioned for 3 schools. I got into 2 of them, and one of them was Juilliard, and they gave
Uh-huh.
me a scholarship. So that's how I got into Juilliard. But
Uh-huh.
then for me, when I got to the NCIS trauma and I left and then I healed my hair, I was like, fuck, I
Right.
feel so selfish because I look gorgeous. And there's literally nothing, no sweat, no humidity, no pool, no beach, nothing that's going to take these beautiful spiral curls out of my hair. And
Mhm,
I saw the implications of what that meant for my career, right?
mhm,
And so I just felt like I got to do something about this, right?
mhm.
So it took me about a good month and a half and like some deep soul searching because I
Yeah.
just told you my story. Like
Uh-huh.
for me, I remember the sleep,
Mhm.
sleepless nights, the fucking being hungry, being the oldest sibling, my mom jetting off, leaving us, the three of us alone for
Right.
4 or 5 days at a time with like $5 in food stamps and a couple extra dollars. Like I know what that's like. And I just
Right.
was like, you can't be a business person. You're just an actress. Like you have to just stay that. And I went to YouTube, and this is what I learned. This is what I learned.
Go ahead. What'd you learn?
In order to have a successful business, you need two things. One, a product that works.
Mhm.
And so that was the thing that was like, that was the thing in my paw. It was, this
Mhm.
works. And then they said, you need a way to get many of those units
Mhm.
made and delivered. So I'm like, logistics. I love logistics.
Yeah.
So I did all this research. I found a cosmetic chemist. I got lawyers for the patent for the detangling method and for the henna mud mask, like protecting the idea. But when it came to how do you fund this,
Mhm.
very interesting. I always had feelings about like the GoFundMe's and all that kind of stuff, like
Mhm.
asking people for money for your
Yeah.
business. And so one of the things I learned in YouTube was raising money is your first sign or like your first like evidence of business failure because
Mm.
you're telling people that I don't have the capital or the revenue to get myself from point A to point B.
Mhm.
So I looked at my bank account and I was like, people have done more with less.
Mhm.
So I think I'm going to bootstrap this thing. Now, let me tell you a quick story.
All right. Go ahead.
So, the difference between bootstrapping and raising money. So, it's 2022, last year. I go to the Bronner Brothers convention in August and I'm at a beauty brunch. Now, I'm sitting there with about 6,000 units
Mhm.
of my henna mud mask and my conditioner in a fulfillment center in Illinois. And I'm there to like do like reconnaissance on like this trade show that I had been going to since I was 15 with my
Mhm.
grandmother, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go as a business owner, as someone who has a treatment, a hair treatment. And
Mhm.
so I'm at this beauty brunch and we get to the end and they ask us questions. Well, this one woman jumps up and the little imposter syndrome in me was like, look at her. Like, look at her up there asking questions. What's she gonna ask? So she
Right.
gets up and she's like, I have a oven for the wig that melt the wig down and it's heatless. And the women in the room, because a bunch of wigs in there, everybody was like, okay. And she was like, and I have raised $500,000. Oh, that made the room light up. 500. She raised $500,000. She was
Uh,
like, I have a prototype of my invention, and I got a booth. She gives the booth number, so I'm sitting there like, yo, this is crazy. She's like, I don't have any inventory yet. But my question, and it wasn't a real question, it was a brag. It was like, come to my booth. The question is, how can I get more money? How can I get more? And
yeah.
so everybody in the room kind of like, but they were like 500,000, 500,000. So the women on the panel were also like, they were like, sometimes you got to give stuff away for free. Like, you seem like you raised a lot of money, right? Like, nobody was saying the thing, which is,
Mhm.
how did you raise $500,000 and you only have one it's not even something to sell, it's just the prototype of
Yeah.
what you have. So I said to myself, because listen, my mom's side of the family, when I was a child, everybody was kids. My mom is the
Mhm.
oldest one of her siblings. So
Yeah.
everybody was a child and they did some fuck shit when I was a kid.
Man.
And, lying, scamming people, whatever. So I'm very sensitive to those kinds of inconsistencies, those story discrepancies, because I'm like, something is amiss here, you
Yeah.
know? So
Something
I
ain't
said to
sitting well. Like, mm-mm.
Mason well. So I said to myself, I was like, I bet if I went to her Instagram, she's probably posing in front of a Porsche and she's probably holding keys up in a video that she just bought this new house. I'm pretty sure that she's living off of that money because having bootstrapped my business since 2019, this is 2022. I've had a hair spa. I've closed that hair spa. I have thousands of units. I've got
Mm-hmm.
formulations. I've got all of these
Mm-hmm.
things. And I can tell you, I have not spent $500,000 yet. I haven't hit it yet. Patent attorneys, the whole deal. Still
Mm-hmm.
haven't hit 500,000 yet of spending on this business. So, what that said to me was, yeah, there are a lot of people in our age right now in 2023, everybody's scamming.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's scamming. And the hustle culture, that hustle mentality, whatever, that breeds
Mm-hmm.
scammers because people love success, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you find out that someone has a business and they've had it for years, but they don't have a beamer yet, for a lot of people, that's like, well, that's not successful. That ain't success. So then you have a bunch
Mm-hmm.
of people who are jumping to the end, risking years of their lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I find out that these people are doing like 7 years, 20 years, whatever, for stealing millions of dollars, I'm like, wow, like I wonder what they think about in that jail cell. Are they like those leather
Mm-hmm.
seats were worth this cot that I'm on now? The,
Yeah.
that giant 20,000 square foot home that I bought with other people's money and
Yeah.
probably didn't even get to clear, 3 revolutions around that place before the feds came. Like, was it worth it to you? So for
Yeah.
me, I've been building value for these years instead
Mm-hmm.
of going to people and asking them to fund my dream, to fund this business. I've
Mm-hmm.
been focusing on my client experience. I've been focusing on, how are my customers talking about their hair so that I can talk about the problems in the way that they speak about their problems so that I can show them that this is the solution. How do I,
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on like this packaging that we have now. This is first generation. I've already got my second generation. I'm with salon centric marketplace. I'm working with a salon now. So in these years, not spending $500,000, not asking people for their hard earned $500,000, I have been generating value and I have I have a legitimate literal business. I have things to sell now. So instead of asking people for money, it's like, how do I move this weight? How do I get these units out? How do I, what are the marketing techniques that I'm going to use? And how do I really like press into saving people time and money and providing them value with my business? And that
Mm-hmm.
is what keeps a business sustainable. One of the things that I noticed, so I have a business coach and he
Mm-hmm.
told me like, watch Shark Tank. And I already have like, I don't like asking people for money, like, I don't know. But I'm glad that I did. I watched
Mm-hmm.
and I would hear like those those entrepreneurs that are like, I raised $1 million, I raised and the next question after everybody goes, wow, that's amazing, is what have you done with it? Why are you here? Why do you need more? And then they start asking those value questions that I
Mm-hmm.
just explained to you that I've been working on.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the disconnect here? Because with $1 million, you should be able to sell, So then
Yeah.
you learn that these people aren't sound business people. The
Mm-hmm.
cost per unit is way more than what they're selling it for. So they're selling at a loss. The infrastructure that they built doesn't exist. The infrastructure that they need for their business doesn't exist, or they're not even
Mm-hmm.
aware that they need it because they
Yeah.
believe that I can just do like 5 posts on social media and go viral.
Yeah. Hey.
And then I solve that. That's not real business, yo. That's
Mm-mm.
not real business. That is a true get rich quick mentality. That is the hustle mentality, right?
Yeah.
But there is a difference between hustle and value. And
Mm.
value has people coming to you, has people thinking about you, has people
Yeah.
going to your website in the middle of the night and looking at your videos, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's value because they're like, oh no, I'm not even thinking about the money I would have to pay. I'm thinking about everything I would get if I got this widget, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is. And in this case, it's a hair treatment, right? And
Yeah.
so that's what I've been focused on instead of asking people for money.
Yeah.
I've been going and listen, it's
Look.
slower. It's slower. This isn't sexy stuff, right?
No.
Bootstrapping, it's hard. But I've had to sit down with my own hard earned money, right? And
Mm-hmm.
go, all right, I just had this woman I met. She, very excited. I was very excited. And I thought that our potential working relationship would look differently. She had something else in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So she sends me this list, this price list that I didn't ask for. And
Yeah.
basically, she wanted $7,000 from me
What?
to, yes, $7,000 from me. And she was doing all the tough talk, right? Tough
Uh-huh.
talk. And I had already told her my story. So I'm like, I don't know why you talking to me like this. I mean, I know I'm smiling and, people just take like, no, you make me feel so warm and fuzzy, but I have thoughts, motherfucker. So I'm just
Yeah.
sitting here and I'm like, okay, so you really gonna try to pull this? So she's like, I want to redo the website and change your brand colors and you need to take
And you like
advantage of
that? Not today.
no. And I looked at the website that she had did, and she was like, yours need to look like that. I was like, that is ugly. I don't like that. And I am not technologically inclined, but this is not it. Like, this
Right.
is not, I'm not giving you this. So, when we got to the end of it, at first, I was like, oh, cool. She wants to like work with me and like be an operating manager in my business. That's amazing. But then when I started asking more questions, so my
Mm-hmm.
business coach always says, ask how when you're talking to your who. Like at
Mm-hmm.
first, when you come up with a challenge, come up to a
Mm-hmm.
challenge in your business, ask who, not how, right? Because how much is your time worth? I've had to teach myself some things because it's been worth it to just like
Mm-hmm.
learn how to do it. But for a lot of things, it's who. Who is the
Yeah.
expert who can do this? But then when you get to talking to the who, you ask them how. How would you do this? How does
Yeah.
this look like? What is that timeline? How do you do that? And so when I got to the how questions,
Uh-huh.
everything fell apart. And I was able to hear the
Mm.
desperation of, oh, you're moving states and like all the story things from before start making sense. Now, if I had other people's money
Uh-huh.
and didn't buy my business coach, buy my business coach's time and
Uh-huh.
whatever, because I got all of this capital, right? Like I purchased time with a business coach in lieu of asking people for money because I thought, okay, this is going to be a lower investment than having to switch my entire brain frame, because that's
Mm-hmm.
what people have to understand. You can't run
Yeah.
a business and run money and raise money at the same time. Those are
Yeah.
two different
Two different skill
jobs,
sets.
two different skill sets. So if you're raising money, you're not working on your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I was like, I'm going to get a business coach. Well, that business coach really helped me accelerate my like, okay, this is what it is. If I hadn't had that business coach, I probably would have given her that $7,000. It ain't mine. I
Mm.
didn't work for it. And at the end of that call, because it's my money, I was like, you don't understand. My acting life funds my real life and funds
Mm-hmm.
this business.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have $7,000 just to give you,
Yeah.
And we had all these plans. Child, I ain't heard from her. I ain't heard from her.
Ah!
You know? So that like bootstrapping also protects you because you
Like,
can't just make a decision. You got to really think about that because all of
like,
that money, it matters. And it took
every single
every
penny.
every penny. money. So, when people take other people's money, they get reckless. You're giving yourself a salary and buying all of this shit because you got other people's money. So in your mind, you made it. Why do I have to start selling stuff? I have $500,000 in the bank account.
The other thing I love about like hearing your journey too, because I'm glad you got through your PTSD from your parents
Mm-hmm.
to be able to get to this position. So there's some healing and growth there, and
Yeah.
then you learn the lessons along the way, so that you're able to use that as you start to build and grow your business. And I love the concept of asking how too, because I think a lot of people don't do that. They don't stop to ask the how in the way that you
No.
do to unpack some of these things. Now, in the theme of asking how, one how I want to know is, how did you create a patent pending for naturals treatment, and why is the future of Afro textured, and why is it the future of Afro textured here? Because
Okay.
I don't know too many people who start a business who got patent pendings. Like wait, she on a new level right here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So in the genesis of Four Naturals,
uh-huh.
um, I I watched that YouTube video and was like, all right, cool. And then I talked to my manager, and my manager knew this amazing lawyer, Black man,
Mm-hmm.
great. I went to dinner with him, and I showed him some of the photos, some of the before and after photos of, other people that I had been doing. And he was like, you need to protect this. If you
Mm-hmm.
want this business to be successful, you need to protect your idea. And so I immediately went to, did my research, found my patent attorneys, and I went into the office and I showed them everything that I had. And, they were like, yeah, we can definitely make a case. And in the meantime, at the very least, it protects me from a larger company. So let's talk about it. L'Oreal is currently in a class action lawsuit for the relaxer. L'Oreal and four
Mm-hmm.
other manufacturers. L'Oreal owns Salon Centric. So if I didn't have my patent on my henna mud mask and my detangling method, I should have been worried when L'Oreal came down on Sunday for the trade show and sat with us and looked at my ingredients and looked at all these things. All those things were protected. So I'm not like concerned, right? Because if my idea is replicated, then I can sue you, motherfucker. So
Yeah.
you know, so then think about the longevity of a
Right.
business that has protected its intellectual property,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's why we have those laws for
Yeah.
business success. So a larger company with
Mm-hmm.
more inroads into salons and things can't take my idea and run me out of business. And
Mm-hmm.
so I actually met a woman at that trade show. She had been working in the hair industry for a while, much older
Mm-hmm.
than I am. But when she heard, so I'm crazy. I was the only vendor at the trade show with a speaker and a microphone, and I left my video up. My video was going the whole time. The whole first 15 seconds is you getting sued. The relaxer get you cancer. It get you cancer. I left it on even when we weren't there. I was like, let that shit play all night. People gonna walk by. They gonna see that shit. Cleaning people. I don't give a fuck. Come to fournaturalshair.com and see I'd change your life. So she had heard me talking about what are you gonna offer your textured hair clients when and if, well, it's really if and when this relaxer is no longer available, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
what are you going to offer? And the answer is the Four Naturals treatment, because unlike the relaxer, you can wear your curls with the Four Naturals
Mm-hmm.
treatment. Your curls are going to be the best curls that you've ever seen in your life. And
Yeah.
you can wear your hair straight, as evidenced today. And this I pressed on Friday with one product. There's no oil in my hair or nothing. Like, I just slept with it in two ponytails and put some rods in it. And even that's kind of
Yeah.
fallen out in front. But it literally makes your life easy. And for salons, you can sell the entire set for home use. You can't do that with the relaxer. So that's
Mm.
why it's the future of textured hair treatments, because it's a care treatment. It gives
Mhm.
people with textured hair everything they want, including their values, which is natural. Our active ingredients are plants. So
Mhm.
if you're putting plants in your hair and your hair is moisturized, you got curl definition, you ain't got to be afraid of rain. You can go on your vacations, jump in the water, come out, curls be popping, go to dinner after that, curls still popping. Like that is
Uh-huh.
the future, right? No more braids because you're going on a beach vacation, right? Like beach vacation doesn't automatically mean braids, right?
Yeah.
That's the future, right? And so, how did I come up with it? Well, I told you the problem that I was trying to solve. So, I went
Uh-huh.
to these different hair cultures, like taking
Uh-huh.
away that lens of your black ass hair needs like some serious chemicals in order for it to do anything. I had lived that lie and
Yeah.
I came away with damage, right? So I wanted plants. So I did all this research into India hair culture. Well, India
Mhm.
hair culture looks like black girl YouTube hair culture. We
Yeah.
call it wash day. Their henna treatments are actual treatment days. So the whole family
Nice.
treats their hair with their henna mud mask. And because India isn't like some capitalist, Western country, the people of India are very well knowledged.
Mhm.
That's probably not how you say that sentence, but they have a lot of knowledge about
Yeah.
plant medicine, about Ayurveda, right? So they'll have their henna, but then they'll add their amla, they'll add their shikaki, they'll add their aloe, they'll add whatever plants will remedy whatever specific hair problems their family is having. They add that to that mud mask, and everybody
Mm.
gets mud mask over the weekend. So that between those treatment days, right? It's not every weekend. You don't have to treat your hair every weekend, but between those treatments, whenever you wash your hair is easy to manage. It just gets wet. When it's dry, it's shiny. You don't have to use a lot of
Mhm.
things. Like the people of India have an amazing hair reputation, right? And
Yeah.
just last night, I cut my ends last night and I like cut some like layers in the front. And I was telling my partner, I was like, yo, this shit is crazy because I'm feeling my hair right now. And this
Yeah.
is what like the Indian yaki hair felt like,
Uh-huh.
right? And
It
now
is.
that's growing out of my scalp and I can get that whenever I flat iron it. Like that is
Uh-huh.
power. That's amazing. So, back to India. When I discovered that, I went immediately to YouTube. What Black women
Yeah.
have used henna and had a horrible experience? And this is what I deduced from all of that. One, they used henna that had chemical or metallic salts, these hennas that are made for hair dyeing, right? The 30-minute hennas, those let you
Oh,
know that they
gotcha.
have additives in it, right? They
Yeah.
didn't deep condition right after. Or they didn't put any other humectants in their mud mask. They just did henna and water or henna indigo and water. That was it. So they
Uh,
had not so great experiences. So my first henna mud mask is not the same formula that I'm selling now. My first henna mud mask, I was like, okay, like my hair is different, but I don't know if I could trust it. By my
yeah.
third treatment, I had got to this formula. It's
Mhm.
even simpler than the first one I did. And
Yeah.
my hair was completely different. I pole dance for exercise. So
Uh-huh.
when I went to the studio without my wig, all the girls were like, what is that? Because they're used to when I go over, you can see the wig.
Yeah.
When when that ain't all your goddamn hair. But then I'm here and I've got these HD juicy looking fucking curls. And they were
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh, did you cut your hair? What did you do? Like, what's different?" And I was like, "Bitch, this is me." And my first dance, yo, I
You-
was in that bitch, like just turning it over, like getting my Yonsei on. You know what I mean? Like I was like, "Bitch, you doing it?" Like you couldn't tell me nothing. And then like
look.
after that, I literally had to have a come to Jesus and be like,
Uh,
yo, you gotta do this business. Other Black
yeah.
women deserve to feel like that. Like you got to,
Yeah.
you just have to.
Look, all I could think of is your name was in Shalita the one. Like I'm Beyonce. The
Yes,
alter ego
bitch.
came out.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I was thinking like at the time because I even seeing you being able to put your fingers through your hair and be so free with it and just like I was like, man, this gonna change the game. Black men can start running their fingers through our black women's hair now. Like,
Yo! Yo! Okay. So that's like, all right. So when my hair, like, cause I went through like maybe 2.5 months of just testing, right? Like the imposter syndrome in me was like, you can't have a business. And the way that I've learned to deal with my imposter syndrome is
yeah,
to lean into learning.
yeah,
The wisdom now is fake it till you make it, right? And that
yeah,
is why we got so much fucking scammers, because everybody's faking it. They're dealing with being like, look at this Porsche,
yeah.
I'm successful now. For
Yeah.
me,
Give me something real. Give me something real.
yeah. For me, I'm like, all right, if my imposter syndrome is saying you can't do this, let me interview that a little bit. And I know that that's my like history, my personal history, but
Mm,
it's also like you don't have a successful entrepreneur model. So I had
mhm,
to go get that. Like that's how I dealt with those feelings. All right, if I can't be an entrepreneur, let me find out who the good entrepreneurs are that I can like model myself off of, right? Like
nah,
who is that? And so I did. I got all these books and stuff, and I just really learned. And part of the
right,
imposter syndrome too was, well, it worked in your hair. Will it work in
uh-huh,
other people's hair? So I
yeah,
was like, all right, let me pause a little bit. Let me give this some time. Instead of rushing to open up a hair spa, let me do some testing. And I did. I tested about 4 or 5 women. We did 6 to 7 treatments
mhm,
and totally free to them. Just come at your treatment time. Tell me what your life has been like with your hair.
mhm,
So they would come to me and they would be like the peace. Like when they showed up, there's the anxiety of like, will this work? And then it does. And then they've
mm,
had like a whole week with their hair. And I'm telling them, hey, you can do all these things. And I didn't lie to them. So they come back. And there's just like this like peace that they
mhm,
all take on because, and this is what we would talk about, they would be like, I didn't realize that I was so paranoid about my hair. I had this
yeah,
experience where I just felt so loose. And I was
mhm,
like, what is so different? And the way people were talking to me was different too. And I was like, it's my fucking hair. I had
yeah,
one woman, dark skin, 50 something years old, married to her husband for like 6 years or something. After her four naturals treatment, she came out of the house and her husband's friend was like outside working on the car with him. And he was like, damn, girl, I didn't know you were mixed.
ah!
So then she came back and we got to unpack that anti-blackness around her hair,
Mhm,
that she had to be mixed in order to have this silky, smooth, soft curls that she just gets out of the shower and has, right? Like we had to
yeah,
unpack that, right? And be able to say that was him. It was never
mhm,
you. That's him. And that's how the world sees us. If you have good, healthy hair, you can't be black because
yeah.
black
Or
hair
or
and
or
good
what's the other thing they say? You must got Indian in your
Indian in your
family.
exactly. So you're mixed. You can't just be black with nice hair, with healthy
Mhm,
hair. And that was one of the things that I wanted to solve and heal as well. Black women going to
mhm,
these Hollywood parties and they're in a room full of scantily clad women in wigs. And so they show up scantily clad with their natural hair. And the women flock to them. What's going on? How did you do that? Sis, do you mind telling me? Is that a twist out? Did what's going on with that? Right? Because we all
mhm.
want that effortlessness, right? And that's what the Four Naturals treatment provides. It's that peace that comes with my hair is no longer a hindrance to me, right?
Yeah,
In
I
fact,
love it.
it's drawing people to me.
Yeah,
And
and that's just
I got excited because we were talking about sex. One of the things that they talked about was the sexual experience that they were having. Like, I'm no longer like when he goes up the back of my neck, you know, like
Mhm.
I'm like, grab that shit. I can actually feel it. I can actually feel it.
There's, a, there's another level of tantric experience going on here.
Yes. Or like one woman that told me, like, she was like, I had no idea how much my husband wanted to touch my hair.
Mhm.
She's like, we just sit on the couch and he's just in my hair, just playing with the curls and like just content, just humans being sensual. And
Yeah.
she's like, all week he don't stop, you know, like it's crazy.
Right.
And I was hiding that away from him underneath these wigs to try to look presentable for the world, which is real shit. And that's what the Four
Mhm.
Naturals treatment does. It makes you presentable out in the world just as you are.
Yeah, it's like a wait and exhale episode of just hair that allows women to be free, confident. I mean, there's so many layers in that, and what I think what you're bringing to the world for Black women is not just a hair product that lets them be free, but it allows them to heal, show up more confident, more resilient, be bolden, be it's like it's so much freedom and just this layers to this. This is not
Yeah.
a hair product. This is like something else. This is like revolutionary.
Yes. Yes. And that's what I say. I say, like, this treatment is your key to freedom. Like, it's
Like,
truly a treatment in that it treats everything,
like,
everything. And when it's treated, you just get to experience those benefits of that healing.
like so two things that are happening and that I see that women are going to get from this episode is one, that freedom that you just mentioned, but another thing that I love that you wove into the experience is kind of that building that entrepreneurial spirit in women and people of color. And my question to you is, like, why do you believe it's essential to kind of cultivate entrepreneurial spirit among women and people of color?
Well, because the experience I had of going up to the top of the mountain. And what do I
Hmm.
mean by that? I mean, again, multi-million dollar shows. I've worked with or had hairstylists do my hair who are like, I just got off of tour with Beyonce, or like, I was just at Rihanna's house, and la 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 la. That's the top of the mountain, right? Like, that's it. Like, we're all looking at Beyonce's hair. Like, where does yours start and the other stuff begin? Like, we're all trying to figure it out. Those are our stars, right? And
Hmm.
so, having had that experience with those people, for me, it was like, yeah, and I still have all of these real ass black hair problems. And so when I was leaving a traumatic situation, for me, that no one is coming, that's real. And I've known that since I'm like 8 years old. No one is coming. No one
Hmm.
is interested in saving you. So you have to figure this out for yourself. And the Four Naturals treatment could not have been created by a white person, even a white
Hmm.
person with black kids. They could not come up with this treatment, right?
Hmm.
I had to be the one to do it, right? Because of my personal experience. And had I sat on that, people
Hmm.
would just be like, she looked great now. What the hell was going on with her before? You know what I
Look,
mean?
look! I remember when we first talked. I was joking about that, but like, you literally became like the CSI investigation person for hair to come back to give us the solution and uncover everything that we needed to know. So
Yeah.
I'm thankful that you had this experience and went through this process. Now, when you look at you know hold on for one quick second. This thing
Okay.
is came up. All right. So when you look at the future of your industry that you're in now, being in the hair industry, what does it look like? What do you see in the future for us, not only for Black women, but hopefully make room for the men too. Yeah, I got.
Yo,
I need it for me too.
there is such a thing as a target market, but there's also your community, your
Okay.
community. And Black men are definitely part of that. Actually, one of my treatment ambassadors is doing a beard test with the Four Naturals
Uh-huh.
treatment today.
Uh-huh.
So the Indian men of India use henna to soften their beard. So when you see these
Mm,
Indian men with the orange, they're using just henna lawsonia to soften and
mm.
coat their beard and make other beard oils or whatever they're using like more productive. So yeah, definitely. But what do I see? My dream is that
Come on, bring it. Let's bring it to the
my
existence.
dream is that the Four Naturals treatment is offered in just about any hair salon.
Mm,
And what that looks like is Black people in the widest of areas being able to go into a salon, get their Four Naturals treatment, have their detangle pain free, thorough, and fast, get that beautiful henna mud mask in their hair, and be able to do whatever they want after. And
yes.
for salons, that means that you no longer have to feel frustrated that, that one thing that you do well, the cut or that balayage or, whatever it is that you do, when you do it on a person with textured hair, a Black woman with tight type 4 hair, after that Four Naturals treatment, her hair will process just like everyone else's, her hair will style like everyone else's, and it will be completely manageable. That is what I
Nice.
want. And Black women all over the world, especially the US ones first, they'll be able to go to other countries and have the experience that I have. So when
Right.
I internationally travel, I get to choose whether or not I'm going to check a bag. And I never check a bag because of my hair, right? I
Mm,
only now check a bag because I'm like, oh, that thing is too big, whatever, or, I'm taking something, whatever, and I should probably check it. When I go
right.
to other countries, one of my favorite things to do is play in their hair products. So I went to Japan in August with my partner. And I went to this Don Quixote place in Tokyo and got a dollar gel that's like the best gel of my life, right? Didn't check
Right.
a bag, right? Like, didn't come with any hair products, just my little Tangle Tamer, for
Right.
detangling. But that's it. And that's what I want for other Black women to be able to get on the yacht and start with straight hair and then jump in that water and have your curls and be able to lounge around just like everyone else, being beautiful and effortless and free.
Right. I love that. Because we travel with like a whole luggage for hair products between me and my daughter. So
Exactly.
like, look,
Why?
we got a plan. We got a plan. Like, because we don't wake up like this,
Yes,
but I want to
exactly.
wake up like this. So
And
I
you
love
will.
that we got a hair product that's going to do that. So I'm wishing that into existence for every hair salon. Look, I'm gonna put something else that you probably didn't even wish asked for and put it in the universe. I wish that all the shelves across America have like. I'm gonna start with you, Target. Target, anybody from Target, if you're listening to this, I know y'all investing in Black Girl Magic and all this other stuff. This is some Black Girl Magic that need to be on your shelves. Holla at your girl, please.
Truly,
Uh,
truly.
let's get us on all the shelves across Target, across America. Come on,
Tarjay. Yes, I love it. Do
let me speak that into
it.
existence for you. Now, let's end off like this because me and you could probably talk all day, but I don't treat my podcast like the Joe Rogan show. I don't think people
Uh-huh.
listen to us talk all day. I think we probably could, but we're gonna stop
we
it for
gonna we
here.
gonna back it up. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so tell me a little bit about what you're currently working on, and where can people find you?
Okay. So when I'm not on a set, I live in Mexico. I'm a temporary resident.
I just say where they can like physically find you. They can find you on the ground somewhere on the net. She over here like I'm in Mexico.
I'm in Mexico, motherfuckers. Don't come down here. Don't come down here. But every day I'm working out 4Naturals. And so you can find 4Naturals treatment, more information, more videos, more pictures at www.4naturalshair.com. And that's plural naturals as in all of us.
Like, and look, I'm putting her on the spot. I'm gonna see if I could like talk her into like giving me a special run code about time this releases, and we're gonna put it in the show notes. Let me see if I can finesse her after the show to see if we get some type of special thing for all the listeners out there.
I can
okay, all right.
I'm finessable for that.
I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on, sharing this story, this wonderful journey, and just building a beautiful product that I can't wait to try with me and my daughter. And I can't wait for the people who listen to this episode to try it. Any last words of wisdom for the people before we sign off today?
Yeah, man. Like, your difference is your superpower. That's a little Audre Lorde.
Ooh, I love that. Your difference is your superpower. Yeah. So go out there and let it flow,
powerful.
yo.
Yeah.
Be powerful.
Yeah, yo.
All right. This has been another episode of Rise Every Nation. Thank you for joining us. We'll catch you on the next time.